When I look back on my life, the biggest leaps that I made, the biggest jumps that I made, almost always came after I asked for help and I had the right who's on my side. 3 months from now, everything could be different. Now imagine waking up 90 days from now with more energy, less stress, and real momentum. That future starts today with a system you don't even have to think about. So obviously, this podcast will be released around September 1st or 2nd. And the biggest thing I want to talk about today is that we're in the last quarter of the year. It's down to the last stretch of 2025. It was not too long ago when we set our New Year resolutions. And now we're about 9 months in, 8 months in, finishing the 8th month, right? And how have your success looked like? How much progress have you made? Right? Where are you at? Have you been taking accountability? Right? If you look at those goals, those New Year resolutions that you set, how are we doing? Right? That's the question you should be asking yourself. Because far too often on New Year's Day, we write the New Year resolutions. Or even on New Year's Eve, you write the New Year resolutions. And then what? We don't reflect on them. Days go by, days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, months turn into quarters. And before we know it, the whole year is coming to an end. So this episode was actually inspired by something I saw on Instagram where this person was talking about how September is the month to lock in. And I think part of that locking in, and he made a really good point, but part of that locking in comes from the fact that, hey, time is running out. And far too often we set goals and we think we'll eventually achieve them one day, right? But the truth is that's not how goals work. Nobody achieves a goal by accident. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, oh my God, I have 6-pack abs now. I don't know how that happened, right? It just doesn't happen by accident. You don't climb mountains by accident. And I think that's the biggest thing where so often we have this fallacy where it's like, yeah, I'm just going to set a goal and I'm going to achieve it, right? All of us have friends who are like, yeah, I'm going to start a business. Yep, I've already written the business plan. And they said that 3 years ago. And every time they meet you, they talk about it, but they haven't done anything. Same thing with that one person, that aunt, that cousin who's been wanting to lose weight for years and years and years. And they're like, yeah, I just can't seem to get motivated. That's my problem, Mo. I just can't seem to be motivated. But what if the answer was not motivation? What if the answer was none of those things that they think they are, right? What if the reason the things keep getting delayed is because you haven't really made a decision to commit? And what does it mean to commit, right? That's a valid next question. And the answer is, what it means to commit is to actually take a decision and get some help. So often we're trying to do everything ourselves. We're trying to get ourselves in shape. We're trying to build our business. We're trying to do everything. So all of a sudden, like, we overestimate how much skill and time we have in a day, right? You can't be a personal trainer, a entrepreneur, a business builder. You can't have all of those skills while having your 9-to-5 job and be a mom or be a father or be a boyfriend or girlfriend. Like, you can't be all of those things. So stop assuming you are. Stop assuming you know everything there is to know about personal training and nutrition and all of those things, right? You don't have enough time to sit down and research. And just because ChatGPT can spit out some words and build you a workout plan or a meal plan doesn't mean you're going to stick with it. You've already had those. Bodybuilding.com has been putting out workout plans since the early 2000s. But the obesity epidemic is higher than it's ever been before. So information is not the answer, right? Same thing with building businesses. Same thing with, praying more or going to church more, whatever your faith is, right? So it's like, if we're not doing it, it's not, stop telling yourself it's about motivation. It's not motivation. It's not even willpower. You know what it is? It's lack of systems. It's lack of routine, right? So often we think we need motivation. I just need to be more motivated to exercise. I just need to be more motivated to make more money. And it's like, likely not. You're just not in a place, or you haven't really decided which path to go towards, right? So at the end of the day, if we're going to lock in the last 3 months of the year, remember this: nothing changes if nothing changes. We've already almost 9 months have already gone by in 2025. So if you keep taking the same actions, if you keep thinking the same way, you're going to keep getting the same results. If not, things might even get worse, right? Obviously, if you look around the world, inflation is at all-time high. Things are only getting expensive. And those goals that you have, It's never going to be convenient. Life will never make it convenient for you to pursue your goals. It is just not going to happen, right? And you have to remember that. Don't expect it to be easy, but just remember, I have to take a slightly different step. If you've been struggling with your fitness, if you've been struggling with your weight loss goals, right, your fat loss goals, your exercise plan, your nutrition plan, and you just, every week you have to reset. That means it might be time to hire a coach or a trainer, because going at it alone, it is hard. It's almost impossible. Literally. Obviously you can do it, but it is just you're gonna make more mistakes and it's gonna take way longer, right? Same thing with building a business. If you want to start your own business because you're sick and tired of that job, or if you want to get a promotion, or if you want to change jobs and you've been thinking about it and 9 months have gone by and you haven't achieved that result, meaning it's time to maybe hire a career coach. Maybe it's time to work with somebody who's an expert in that area. And by the way, that's not me at all. But you might have to find somebody. But all I'm asking you guys to do is get help. Get help, right? And generally, the word help, oftentimes people think you ask for help when you are not smart enough to figure it out on your own. And that is not true. That is one of the biggest limiting beliefs that holds you back, right? Tiger Woods, one of the greatest golf players in the world of our times, has a golf coach. He had a golf coach. Serena Williams, a tennis coach, right? Our boy Michael Jordan, right? All of these people, we know their coaches more than we know the athletes even sometimes, right? Bill Belichick with Tom Brady, all of these genetically superior people, right? Than general public, these guys are freaking beasts of athletes, right? They've not only played their game well for 1 year, they played it for multiple 10 plus years, right? You know how good you have to be to stay in that arena, in that competitive arena for that long? And they still had coaches. So what makes you think that if you don't ask for help, you'll figure all of this out on your own? It is just too hard, right? We need each other. So that's why one of the books I would recommend you read if you haven't read it is called Who, Not How. Who, Not How by Benjamin Hardy, Dr. Benjamin Hardy. He's a brilliant author. I was recently on a Zoom call with him, and he broke down the whole goals to us and on his new book that he's writing. But basically, one of the things he really said that really stuck with me, he said he was on a coaching call and he was talking to somebody that this guy had a 30-year goal, and that 30-year goal was that he'll build companies, he'll, roll them up, turn them into a private equity setting, and then eventually sell that to then be able to afford a football team. He wanted to buy a football team in Europe, right? And Ben Hardy, he's we literally started looking at it. It's okay, if the end goal is to buy a football team, then why don't we skip a lot of these steps in the middle because we don't really need them, and we go directly to it by achieving this goal that gets you closer. And just reframing that entire picture really helped that person realize oh shit, I can most likely achieve this in 5 to 10 years instead of 30, right? So that's the power of having the right who's, right people to have that conversation with, right? Whatever that is for you. So for you, whatever the issue you're facing right now, maybe it's the relationship struggles, maybe it's with your faith, maybe it's with your finances, maybe it's with your fitness. Be willing to ask for help, because I'm telling you, when I look back on my life, the biggest leaps that I made, the biggest jumps that I made, almost always came after I asked for help and I had the right who's on my side. Having the right who's on your side is one of the biggest hacks in life, because when you have the right help on your side, you can go 10x faster. And that was one of the best things I learned as the CEO of my coaching company, right? Training with the Titans. When I started hiring really smart people, and I started hiring people that, that I was yeah, I would teach them the thing, and they came with the batteries included. They were almost teaching me things, and it felt really good. I was hell yeah, my team is A players right now. There's, A-star players. So at the end of the day, having the right who's is going to be very, very, very helpful, right? I suck at a lot of things, right? I suck at graphic designing. I suck at half the time I'm not even that good at content, but I know people that are really good at it. And sometimes I can go to them for help, and that helps me. So one of the things that I do, a healthy system I deploy, is whenever I'm struggling in an area, something is just not working, I ask myself, who can I ask for help on this? Who is the right person to talk to about this? And all of that to say, to go back to my original message for this episode, 3 months from now, everything could be different for you if you just reached out to the right who. Okay? Everything could be different for you if you reached out to the right who, versus staying stuck in your current cycle. The reason your situation feels very stuck right now, and maybe you're not able to move forward, maybe you're not making as much progress, is because you haven't been having the right conversations. You haven't been talking to the right people, right? And you currently don't have the systems in place, etc. But the right people will help you with some of those systems, right? If you hire, for example, 3 clients joined Training with the Titans this week, and all of them had been struggling for a few years, right? And they've been following me for a little bit, and they're like, man, I've been listening to the episodes, but it just wasn't the right time, but now I'm ready to go. And we talked for an hour on Zoom, and they were telling me their struggles. And I was like, okay, let's change them. And they're like, I love how much confidence that you have that we continue. I was like, yeah, that's all we've done for the last 8+ years, right? So the point being, even if I look back to my own business journey, right, the point being is I always needed the right who. Whenever I felt stuck, the thing that got me unstuck wasn't some miracle. It was almost always the right conversation and hiring the right help and bringing on the right help. So at the end of the day, that might be what you're missing. Hopefully, like, these thoughts, maybe they resonate with you, maybe they don't. But overall, if you feel stuck, or if you feel like you wasted the time, the 9 months of this year, as we're going into September, 8 months of this year, as we're going into September, it's like, okay, what needs to change? Because if you keep living the way you're living, if you don't make any new decisions, you're going to keep getting the same results you have gotten. So just be careful with that, okay? But yeah, that's all I got to say. And if you need our help with your fitness, if you're finally looking to get some help because you're tired of staying stuck for years and years and years, maybe months and months and months, reach out, right? You can find me on Instagram at Moegias, Moeghias. We don't have any sponsors for these episodes, but Training with the Titans is the one. So yeah, just reach out. You can always go to our website, twtt.us, and then you can book a call from there. But overall, I hope these thoughts hit you in the right place, because don't let the last 3 months of the year go to waste. Put it to use. Your life can legitimately change over the next 90 days if you just choose to ask for help, if you just choose to get the right help on board. And that help will help you design the systems to make sure that you go further. So I hope this helps. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for listening to the Healthy Systems podcast. I really appreciate you for tuning in today. Now, here are 2 ways I can help you for free. One, you can join our free Facebook community by just going to this link, bit.ly/Titan Facebook group. Just type that into your browser and then answer 2 questions, and then we'll let you into our Facebook community where you'll meet other people, as well as we have a lot of free resources in terms of meal plans, workouts, all kinds of stuff in there. Second way I can help you for free is if you follow me on Instagram at Moegias, Moeg as in George, H as in horse, I as in India, A as in apple, S as in Sam. Follow me there and then shoot me a message with the word Healthy Systems, and then I'll be sure to send you a free gift. Other than that, keep listening in, and I really appreciate you.